The following is a presentation of Puska Media Services. Welcome to the Sports Hub Network, an inside look at world of all sports featuring interviews with the newsmakers to tell and share their stories. Now here is your host, Dennis J. Puska.
Hi everyone, I'm Dennis J. Puska. Yes, welcome to a very special edition of the Sports Hub Network. It is special for a variety of different ways. One, this is our first attempt at a video podcast. Yes, we're using some brand new software. We're trying to get used to it a little bit. We'll see how it all turns out. We hope you'll like my background of all my hockey jerseys there, just some of my collection. The Huntsville Havoc, the gray one on one side from the Southern Professional Hockey League. On the other side, of course, is that blue one from the Amarillo Bulls of the North American Hockey League, who are no longer the Amarillo Bulls, but the Amarillo Wranglers. And behind me is a jersey from the NAHL Top Prospects event that took place in Boston several years ago. So we hope you'll like that. So our video podcast is going to be available on our YouTube page at Puska Media Services. Plus, as well, you can get the video right on our main page of our website, PuskaMediaServices.com. However, as I said, this is a very special edition. Why is that? Because you'll also be able to get this via audio. We're going to run this as a complete audio podcast. In case you don't want to watch the video or don't have time, the video podcast is going to be turned to audio, and you'll be able to find that on our Podomatic app through our website, as well as wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's on Apple, Google, or Amazon, wherever it may be. Another reason why it's special today, while we're presenting with you, is a special edition previewing the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League's postseason that is about to get underway. We had hoped to record this podcast earlier in the week, but scheduling did not quite work, so we're presenting it right now. Now, coming up on our show, we're going to look at all the individual playoff matchups and what to expect in those. We're going to recap the regular season standings, give you some details all about that, and maybe some notes about some of the possible award winners. Then we're going to also get to our guests. One of my guests is Darryl Moxam, the bench boss of the Greater Sudbury Cubs of the NOJHL. The team had 90 points this year, 44 wins. How incredible was that? And he has been simply dynamite, that is for sure. Also, you have got on the program Marc the head coach of the Hearst Lumberjacks, finished with 80 points, 39 wins. Yes, they were the top two seeds in the NOJHL all season long, and now they're the top two seeds heading in to the postseason. So you'll hear both of those interviews courtesy of Zoom. We're thrilled about that. And we've got some goal calls that'll be sprinkled in there too. You saw our video off the top. We hope you enjoyed that. And we'll have some goal calls in there courtesy of Flow Hockey from the voice of the Greater Sudbury Cubs, Thomas Mercier, and from yours truly. It is all coming up ahead on this very special edition of our program. We're going to pause. When you come back, we're going to get to a preview of the NOJHL playoffs and a recap of what happened during the regular season. Don't go away. This is the Sports Hub Network. And welcome back. Thank you for being with us. Well, we're going to get going on this very special edition of the Sports Hub Network, talking about the NOJHL postseason in a moment. But first, you can't help but look back at the regular season and the final standings, the way things changed up. The Greater Sudbury Cubs led the way with 90 points, 44 wins. The Hearst Lumberjacks, 39 wins, 80 points. The Blind River Beavers, 72 points. They had 34 wins. The Timmins Rock just got into that fourth and final playoff spot. 33 wins, 69 points. The Sioux Eagles, 2 points back. They're fifth with 32 wins. The Sioux Thunderbirds, 26-23, 1-2 for 6 at 55 points. Then things get interesting. The Powassan Voodoos at 49. Boy, they went on that long losing slide at the end of the season, lost something like 7 or 8 in a row, finished with just 22 wins, 25 losses. And the Iroquois Falls Storm. My, what a great stretch drive for them. Got into the postseason on the final weekend of the regular season with back-to-back wins, but their season really kick-started in a couple of areas. One, the overtime win over the Timmins Rock at McIntyre Arena. It was a big win for them. They trailed in the hockey game, won it in overtime. Two, when the Espanola Paper Kings were on a 3-game road trip, Hearst, Iroquois Falls, and KL, Iroquois Falls and Espanola played at Just Jordan Arena. The Storm blew out the Paper Kings that night. The Paper Kings managed only 1 point that weekend, an overtime tie against the Kirkland Lake Gold Miners. You've got the French River Rapids at 35 points, and the Kirkland Lake Gold Miners, we just mentioned them, at 22 points with 9 wins. But special mention to Tyler Prasick. He did an unbelievable job down the stretch with the Gold Miners. I have a feeling next year they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's for sure. Now, if we're talking about some end-of-season awards, the MVP, I think there's a 3-headed monster there. Lucas Signoretti, Greater Sudbury Cubs. Owen King from the Blind River Beavers because he had 50 goals this year, so he's got to be on there. And I think Adam Schillinglaw of the Hearst Lumberjacks because of his solid work defensively all year long. Those are my 3 picks for MVP to be in the running. Also, how about Rookie of the Year? Probably Alexandre Bavin needs to be in the mention because he had such a terrific performance with the Lumberjacks all year long. Coach of the Year, Darryl Moxam, Marc Alain Bégin, Kyle Brick. They've all got to be in consideration right there. Now, as you know, this year the NOJHL went through a number of changes. The big thing they did was that instead of having divisions, they just grouped the teams 1 through 12. That's the way they did that. Secondly, the new playoff format. Instead of divisions, again, it is 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. Their best-of-7 series, they have to be done by the end of April. That's because the winning team will have a short go to get ready for the Centennial Cup, the Canadian Junior Hockey League's national championship that'll take place in Calgary, Alberta this year in early May. That will be fun to watch and see what goes on there. So now let's look ahead to the playoff matchups in the NOJHL. We're going to start off with the number 1 seed, Greater Sudbury Cubs against the number 8 seed, Iroquois Falls Storm. Simple format here, 2-2-1-1-1 this weekend in Sudbury, next week in Iroquois Falls. Iroquois Falls, we've talked about, they're the hottest team in the league heading into the playoffs. Big acquisition, I thought, for them was getting Jaden Lyons from the Timmins Rock. He's really been impressive for them. But Jordan Mayo has taken off, become a really great player for them, along with Landon Trethway and net. I love the Storm's goaltenders, Maverick Fletcher and Justin Sullivan. But the Greater Sudbury Cubs, they've done it all year, been a juggernaut, incredible runs, and now that they've slowed down just a little bit heading into the playoffs. Lucas Signoretti, 101 points. Yes, mention him as an MVP candidate. Mason Asinaway, 72 points. In net, Sudbury's going to need those guys to step up. Carson Chartier, saw him on a couple of games of Flow Hockey. Very impressive. And Noah Bone, saw him play in person in Hearst. Very impressive right there. Give Sudbury the edge, but only in 5 or 6 games. Iroquois Falls will put up a battle, that's for sure. Meantime, you have the number 2 seed, Hearst Lumberjacks, the number 7 seed, Powassan Voodoos. And you're going to hear an interview later with Marc Alain Bégin, the great head coach of the Hearst Lumberjacks, who says, yeah, we got a new playoff format. Oh, yeah, we're playing the Powassan Voodoos again. Yes, Powassan and Hearst for the 4th time in the last 5 years. Thank you, Chris Dawson from the Powassan Voodoos, for those stats. The Voodoos have had the Jacks number, though, 2 straight playoff wins, including last year with all those overtimes. And I think Courtney Kenny, the broadcaster of the Powassan Voodoos, was probably pretty tired after all those overtime games, and they were fun to watch. Hearst has more depth this year, and they're fun to watch. They've got speed, they work hard, and they all can get into the scoring. Tyler Patterson, Matthew Como, Adi Willett, Bronson Babiak. They're also better skilled defensively. Will Paquette is healthy. Garvin picked up at the trade deadline. Did I mention Adam Schillinglaw? I have already, but he really gets going. He's the captain. Fun to watch there. And I guess in net, Alexandre Boivin and Owen Bontuas right there. For Powassan, things just didn't go their way this year, especially in the final month. Caden DeBroy, Justin Rousseau, and Caden DeBroy and Caden Cowell will all have to step up and have big games for Powassan in that series. Goaltending, either Austin Seibel or Tyson Wilcox. We'll see who gets the goal there. I think Hearst wins that series 5. Perhaps it goes 6, but I think it goes to 5. Now we move on to 3 versus 6. The Blind River Beavers and the Sioux Thunderbirds. This is going to be some quick hockey. Thursday, Saturday in Blind River, Sunday in the Sioux, and then next week in Sault Ste. Marie. We already talked about Owen King of Blind River, 75 points, 50 goals, but then there's a bit of a drop-off in the scoring, but they have 3D in the top 10 in their scoring. That'll be important for them. Goaltending led by Bronx Bodner, who came in late but did a great job, and Connor Durham-Fox, big, strong kid. He'll help them there. For the Sioux, Jonathan Sonadecker, James Legler are their top point getters. However, Noah Metavier, when he goes to the playoffs, he does great things. And if he gets on any kind of roll, the Thunderbirds could make that series interesting. I say it goes the distance. I don't know who's going to win. Maybe Blind River right now. You ask me tomorrow, maybe my opinion changes yet again. Finally, we head over to number 5 seed Sioux Eagles against the number 4 seed Timmins Rock. This is the only series that is going to be different. They're going to play 2-3-2. In other words, 2 games in Timmins this weekend, later starts, 3 in the Sioux, Michigan, then 2 at the end. They're doing that for travel. I think it's a great move, maybe something the league should look at in the future. Timmins, Brant Romanuk, Caden MacArthur, Jack Kelly, saw them last Friday against the Hearst Lumberjacks. They were amazing. Goaltender, Dryden Riley, he's matured from last year's playoff run. He's been sensational. The Sioux Eagles, lots of scoring, but they need to get a little bit more. Cooper Fredericks, Lucas Caulfield. You also got Pouliot and Pavel in there too. Could be interesting to watch. Goaltending might be a problem with the Eagles in the postseason. I think the Rock get this series, but it might take a little bit to go 6 games. Well, now let's move on to the next segment of our program, and that is our interviews. You're going to be hearing from first Darryl Moxam, the head coach of the Greater Sudbury Cubs, talking about their year and what to expect against the Iroquois Falls Storm. And we'll also be hearing from Marc-Alain Bégin, the head coach of the Hearst Lumberjacks, and he will join us for the second interview. During those interviews, we're going to also bring you goal calls from the season. I'll have a couple of goal calls in there too. You'll hear my goal call from a Hearst Lumberjack game during the regular season. And we're also happy to have Thomas Mercier's goal call from Flow Hockey, the voice of the Greater Sudbury Cubs. So without further ado, let's move ahead to the next segment. Here's a goal call from the Greater Sudbury Cubs from the regular season, and that'll segue us right in the interview with Darryl Moxam. Enjoy. This is the Sports Hub Network. It's great to have you back. I'm Dennis J. Puska, and we're pleased to be joined alongside by the head coach of the Greater Sudbury Cubs, Darryl Moxam. And when you think about the Sudbury Cubs this year, ranked as one of the top teams in Canada, inside the top 10, finished with a record of 44-6-1-1, an incredible run. And their first-round opponent's going to be a team that's kind of coming in a little bit hot, the Iroquois Falls Storm that clinched a playoff spot over the weekend. Coach Moxam joins us from his office at Countryside as they get ready for practice and get ready to grow. Coach Moxam, thanks for taking time to join me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So, Coach Moxam, let's talk about this. 44-6-1-1, an incredible run. As such, you were ranked among the best teams. What else impressed you about your team during the regular season?
I think the biggest thing is just staying in the moment. To be honest with you, we had a couple long winning streaks this year, and everybody knows how long the season can be for these young men. Some of them in university and taking some pretty difficult courses at times, but just having the ability to stay in the moment, never being satisfied. again, you're gonna have your ups and downs over the course of a season, but like I said, these kids come every single day. They hold each other accountable, which is probably the most impressive thing I've seen this year. Whether it be our veterans from last year, the year before, or some of the new faces, and they hold themselves accountable every single day we step on the ice. And quite honestly, they've made our job somewhat easy. If you can call coaching easy at times, they've made the job a lot easier on us.
Well, one thing I can say about your club is that you guys came off with such a hot streak to start, and then maybe towards the evening and towards the end of the season, maybe it cooled off. As they say in junior hockey, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You've got a long season. Does that concern you at all that you guys kind of had your moments where a couple of losses here and there? Does that concern you at all as a coach heading into the postseason?
No, I mean, I hope my guys don't see this interview, but there's times that we needed to take a step back, and we needed to be in some games that we didn't deserve to win, and see the results not in our favor. To understand that it's not going to be easy. You have to play the right way every single day, because that's the way it's going to be in playoffs. And I know you hear coaches say, and it's kind of cliche, that a loss can be great for you and you can learn from it, but it couldn't be any more true at times for our team this year. I think we were good for the most part, and not resting on our laurels or our previous success, but there were times that we felt we weren't playing exactly the way we were going to need to play to win a championship. I mean, everybody knows how difficult it's going to be to win the NOJHL title. I mean, there's lots of great teams, but if I was to sit and answer that question and say, does it worry me? No, it doesn't. I think it was an important stepping stone for us to be where we want to be come playoff time.
Some coaches say play the right way. What does that mean for you?
Play the right way to me means, and if I was to, and this might be too simplified, is to be on the top side of the puck mean defensive side of the puck if we don't have it, but basically make the right play at the right time as often as possible, whether that's with the puck or without the puck. I mean, the average person doesn't understand that 95% of this game is played without a puck on your stick. And, if you can figure out as a collective group of six at all times on the ice how to play without the puck, you're going to be in most hockey games. And I think if I was to define play the right way, that probably includes discipline as well. I mean, we've had some times where we weren't exactly the most disciplined team in the league. We know we're going to have to become playoff time, and if we're fortunate enough to get an opportunity to go again, you're definitely going to have to be that way at a national championship.
When I look at the playoff matchup, it's against the Iroquois Falls Storm. They come in quite a roll. How do you start preparing for them?
We started probably 2 weeks ago preparing for two different teams. Basically, the number one thing that we have kind of tried to instill in our guys' minds is we'll have our pre-scouts this week. We'll have our video. We'll do all our things, now tailored towards the way Iroquois Falls plays. But we are going to continue to focus on ourselves. You change a few things up, whether it be your power play or penalty kill based on what they're running. But we believe that, with the depth and with the guys we have in that room, if we take care of business in our dressing room and worry about ourselves, that we're again going to be in a good position as far as having a chance to win most games. So it's taken a bit of a look at and we know they're a hot team. I mean, even when they got off to a rough start at the start of the year, compared to the last month or so, I mean, this team plays hard every single night. They're well coached right now. They play a tough, hard game. They manage the puck, and we expect it to be a long series. But we're going to focus on doing what we do best, and that's taking care of both ends of the ice for us.
And you also think as well, you can't let teams hang around. And teams, if you start letting teams hang around, they start getting confidence in themselves, and then that's when the ball game, or the hockey game in this case, changes altogether.
And we've had a couple of those. We've had games like that with Iroquois Falls this year. You feel like, I think it's one thing that bothers me is that first minute of the hockey game is every bit as important as that last minute. And if somewhere in the second period you have a team down and you have a chance to, whether it be put the game out of reach or kind of step on them a little bit, that middle, every single second of the playoff games count. And I agree, the more you let teams hang around and goaltending becomes that much more of a factor. whether it be in the first period, the second period, or late in the third period, when you get a chance to close games out, you have to take advantage of it.
And coaches call the word take your foot off the gas. And I'm sure that's one phrase you've probably said a lot to your players over the years.
Yeah, that's probably going back to what you were talking about earlier about it's a long season and sometimes you get a little bit complacent. We've tried to tell our guys that. I mean, you get a team down 1, 2, 3 goals. I mean, do not stop. You have to respect your opponents at all times, but do not take a chance. Don't take that foot off the gas until that final buzzer sounds, and we'll regroup after the game and get ready for game 2.
One thing I like about your team is your goaltending depth. You've got almost a 1A, 1B, or 1 and 1A scenario with Charche and Bolin. Talk about them.
They've been, what a great group of guys together. I think that's the chemistry between your 2 goaltenders, and in our case 3 now. I mean, Maddie is now back. This young man, these 2 young men get along so well that they push each other every single day. They're best friends both on and off the ice. If you look at the experience Bo brings, having had an opportunity to play and actually getting a shutout at Nationals last year, and then a younger guy in Sharts. I mean, these guys together every day. I mean, the ups and downs that goaltenders go through, it's the most important position in hockey. They don't need a lot of support from their coaches because they take care of each other both in highs and lows. We believe we have as good a goaltending as we've ever had. That's not to take anything away from Tivs last year. I mean, you don't win 2 league titles in 3 years and not be a great goaltender. That's pretty big shoes to fill. But I think we've done a great job with that, and it rests on obviously Sharts and Bo. They've done a heck of a job, and as good as they've been in the net, they're even better people.
Talk about the special players, Samuel Senaway and Lucas Signorelli, your top point getters in the league, and the way they've conducted themselves. They can put the puck in the net from anywhere on the ice.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing, if we were to look at last year's team and this year's team, there's some similarities, but there's some differences. I mean, we have some pretty dynamic forwards up front. Obviously Lucas has done what he's done for 2 years, 3 years in this league now. And then Sammy playing the best hockey, he's ever played in a Cubs uniform. And then you add to that, I think Nolan Newton might be right up there in points per game. And the good thing is you can shut 1 down and even 2, but I think we have some weapons, and, the depth of our team might be a little bit more than we had last year. And again, similar to our goaltending, I mean, it doesn't matter who's scoring. They're happy for each other and they feed off each other. And I think the biggest thing with how dynamic these young men are with the puck, I've said it in the last 2 weeks. You take a guy like Lucas, I'm gonna say the coaching staff has cost him 20 points this year, and that's because of his commitment to the other side of the puck. And he wanted to learn, and he wanted to win, and he wanted to be a more complete player. And with that comes a little sacrifice, and he's been more than happy to do it. So these guys are special players. I mean, hopefully they have a long run here, and they understand what it's going to take to play, well into May, and hopefully be successful.
Junior hockey sometimes, and a lot of it is from boys to men. We talk about the maturation process of junior hockey player. They arrive as boys, they leave as men. Talk about the maturation of the Greater Sudbury Cubs this year and how they've gone through that process.
Well, I think it started, and I think it started early on. The success, it started quite honestly 2 years ago, the maturation process, and the disappointment of losing to the Sioux 2 years ago, with a young hockey club, and then learning from those mistakes last year with guys like Oliver Smith and the leadership group we had. That was coming back, but then when you start adding, a player of Lucas Signoretti's caliber, and we weren't quite sure how that was all going to mold together in September. Coming off a championship, you're adding the league's top scorer. Was it going to fit well? The maturation process, as you said, started early, late August, and the ability for them to, the new guys to seamlessly transition to the culture of that dressing room. Would I say it's different? Yeah. Would I say there's a lot of similarities and expectations in the culture of that room? Yes. And I would say as far as, the maturing process, I think it was the ability for them to mature together as a group. The new guys finding ways into the group and the old guys being accepting of everybody we bring into that dressing room. I think we've gone from a team that can, win games, 6, 7, 8 goals a game to a team that now recognizes the fact that we can also win games 1-0, 2-1.
Well, there you go. How have you liked the new schedule and the playoff format this year? Talk a little about that and the changes the league went through this year.
I think it's great. I do strongly believe that the top 8 teams in a league this size, should be rewarded for the entire, course of the season. I mean, if you look at, the Sioux the last 2 years, I think they're 20-some games over 500 the last 2 years, Sioux, Michigan, and they haven't played a playoff game. And I think that's my personal opinion. I think that's very unfair to their players, to their ownership group. And this year, I think it's the best thing the league has done. And I think we're going to see one heck of a first round in all series, quite honestly.
And how do you like the ties? The old days, going back to the days of having all these ties, huh?
You're going to put me on the spot, are you? I do believe that I'm not a big fan. That's my personal opinion. And maybe that comes from, teaching at one point in sports management. And I think it's good when the fans get to go, either elated or disappointed. I think that the ties, I'm not. It's about the fans at the end of the day, and bringing as many people into the building to see the product as we can. And I'm not personally sure that leaving with ties is the best way to go about it, but I don't have an answer for you on how to change that. I will say this, the 10 minutes overtime, whether it ended in a tie or not, it was some of the most exciting hockey I've ever seen. And I do like the extended 3-on-3 to find a way to end a hockey game that way.
I agree as well. I think that's been a neat aspect of this league this year. Talk quickly before we go a little bit about the NOJHL playoffs. The other matchups are just as good as yours. There's some great matchups out there. There could be some incredible series, couldn't there?
I think it's going to be great. I mean, you look at the way Blind River finished off the season. I mean, Kyle's teams are some of the most well-coached teams in the country all the time. And, the Sioux's come on. Sioux, Michigan has been there all year. And Coach Rebick's done a great job with his group. And then, Timmins is Timmins. They're always a strong hockey club. And then one of my former players in Coach Benjay up in Hearst, they've had one heck of a season. And I just like the fact that I think there's so much parity, and we sat as a staff last week, and quite honestly, I'm not sure I can pick a winner out of any of this series, including ours. There are favorites, there's no question about it, but we know, as we've seen it in the past, whether it be the National Hockey League or right down to junior U18 hockey, just because you're the favorite on paper doesn't mean that's what the outcome is going to be. And I just love, like you said, the new format, and I couldn't be any more excited to not just our series to get started, but we'll watch some of the other games.
Wonderful. Coach Moxam, thanks for taking time for joining us on this day. We appreciate it. Best of luck in these playoffs, and best of luck against the Iroquois Falls Storm.
Thank you so much, and you guys have a great day.
Face off just outside of the Blind River blue line. It is won by the Beavers. Harris strips his man of the puck. Cubs are 2-on-1. Lucasen, you ready? Into the zone across Newton. He scores! He scores! Nolan Newton! This game is tied at 5. The Cubs have erased a 4-goal deficit. Can you believe it? Down 5-1 to start the period. 4 unanswered from Sudbury has erased a 4-goal deficit, and this game is a brand new one, folks.
And we are now joined by Marc Alain Bengin, the head coach of the Hearst Lumberjacks, on our edition of our program. So, Marc Alain, as we get ready for the playoffs, you're playing a familiar foe again, the Powassan Voodoos. It doesn't matter whether you're playing division or full league. Now you change this again. How does it feel to face them again for the 4th time in 5 years?
It's surprisingly the fourth consecutive year we played the Voodoos in the first round. So we're very familiar with them, with their coaching staff. So we joked about it at the start of the year that look, we're gonna do the new things with the new division, and we'll still face Powassan. And here we are, a couple months later, facing Powassan in the first round. So we're really excited to get another crack at them, and hopefully this time it comes to our favor.
Well, when I look at the season, you guys were pretty solid this year all the way around. Some amazing streaks, second place overall. Talk to me about your season, and did it come together the way you had thought? Were you kind of surprised with the way things went? Give us an assessment.
No, especially with all the guys coming back. We had 14 guys coming back from last year. A couple of them were high-end players for us last year, so we expect it to be a top team in this league. And our GM Jonathan made some nice additions throughout the season that made our team better. And yeah, so like I said, we expected to be a top team. Maybe not have the season we had, but at the same time, we're really excited for what's coming for us.
When I look at key additions of the team, Adi Willett has been a nice addition to your hockey club coming out of Gatineau. You've gotten bigger on the back end and you've gotten quicker. Talk about your defense and talk about Adi Willett.
Yeah, it's, the addition of Dylan Garvin and Braden Hinman at the deadline were very welcoming for us. Garvin brings a lot of skills, a lot of offense, and Hindi on the back end is just a big guy that's very good for us lately. So we were really excited to add those two, and you just bring the other of adding Schilling-Law, having the season he had. In my mind, one of the best defensemen in our league. So we're really excited for what he brings, and you just go through 1 through 9 with William Paquette, who's coming back from an injury for a couple of weeks. He's been playing some good hockey, and we're really excited for what we have back there. And I think they can do a lot of damage coming into the playoffs.
They are very solid. You've got a lot of depth there, and you mentioned your forwards. Look at your forwards with Adi Willett and that line. He's played a lot with Donovan Veilleux and Aiden Kalin. And then, of course, you've got the two that are been together for a while, Matthew Como and Mr. Patterson.
Yeah, for sure. You try to find the chemistry early on, and we knew Como and Patty that have played together before, 3-4 years together. So it's very welcoming having that as a coach. You know, you can rely on them too. With Liam Boswell, with Damien Lemoine, they played with a couple guys throughout the year, and like you said, the line of Willett, Callan, and Veilleux pretty much played the whole year together, and the chemistry is there. They're having fun playing together, and when they're on, they're probably one of the best line in our league for sure.
They are pretty amazing to watch, and then goaltending to get Alexandre Bovin, and then to have Bontuas as a steady alternative. That's got to be really reassuring as well for our coach, because the way Alexandre Bovin's played this year has been lights out.
Yeah, for sure. We expected it. We knew Alex from the previous years. We knew his brother played in Timmins. The bigger the game, the bigger Alex is, and he's a gamer. He played well for us down the stretch. Played well in our Sioux trip and in Timmins to finish off the season. So it's very fun to go in the playoffs with a high confidence in him. And like you said, Owen has been steady for us back there when we made the call for him. So we're really excited for both of them. We know what to expect every time both of them are in net. They give us a chance to win, and that's the only thing that you can ask for from your goaltender.
Well, as we look ahead to Powassan, what are some of the keys for you? Is it turnover, special teams, and not to look ahead and always be mindful, because Powassan seems to step up to the plate and play Hearst very well, no matter if it's regular season or playoff?
Yeah, Powassan is a really well-coached team with Peter Goulet. He's been he's been coaching for a while now. He's been winning everywhere he goes. So we expect a team that will come here on Friday night, be ready to go, give us a good test. And for us, it's just to play simple hockey. Yes, we have lots of skill. Yes, we have lots of offense and stuff like that. But at the same time, sometimes it's we try too much to do on offense, and that's where it's really killed us throughout the year. And when we play the right way, when we play the simple way, I think that's where we're going to be at our best. And now it's just to put all the pieces together that we've been working on for the last 8 months, and I think we'll be successful throughout the postseason.
And I think one of the things too is playing at home. You get home ice advantage in the first 2 rounds. How critical is that? Your fans this year, what great crowd, what great support at Claude Rose Recreation Center.
Yeah, for sure. We, like you said, the fans are a big part of our recruiting pitch to our players. Where come to Hearst, there's 700, 800, 900 people waiting for you. They cheer for you, good or bad. So it's always fun to play at the Claude Rose, like you said. And yeah, for sure. When Sudbury went on that run early on in November, December, it was kind of out of reach that first place. So we had that mindset to get that second place, and like you said, have the home ice as long as we can. And that's that's why you play hockey. It's to have the higher competition, and to be successful coming into the playoffs.
What do you think of the new format this year? What the full 8 teams getting in, and even with the overtime changes this year, how have you enjoyed that as a team going forward and as a coach?
Oh, I love it. I love the one division, 12 teams. For us, it didn't change really much because traveling to North Bay or traveling to the Sioux is the same thing. So the traveling hasn't been much more for us compared to other teams. But just playing Sudbury more, the Sioux Thunderbirds more, the Sioux Eagles more, going there twice, it's been very fun. You create a little bit of a rivalry along the way. The only thing I'm missing is playing Timmins 10 times. Those are very fun games to be a part of. In Hearst and in Timmins, it's a barn that I really like to go at the McIntyre. So that's pretty much the only thing that I'm missing from the 2 division format. And like you said, you have the best 8 teams in our league going into the playoffs. We saw a couple the last 2 years where a team from the West had more points from a team from the East. So you don't have that this year. For the overtime, I'm a fan of a shootout. So it's the tie. We had one tie in Timmins, and that overtime was unreal, where a lot of scoring chance both ways, and then it finishes off as a tie. That might be my only hiccup, but at the same time, I understand why they did it. So it's very, very okay also to have ties. And but I really like the shootout. I like the offense. I like the skill. So it kind of demonstrate who had a lot of skills in our league, and that's what I'm missing the most. Is probably the skill in the shootout.
Well, for some coaches, it's about worrying about themselves, not about what they do. Is that how you look at it when you head to the postseason? You're more concerned about how your team responds, your habits and all that, and not try to focus too much on what the other team does? Or do you kind of use both the same way?
I'd say a little bit of both. Obviously, you want to focus on your team, what you're doing well, what you're doing wrong. But at the same time, you got to know what the other team is doing. We studied them for a bit. We just played them twice in the last 2-3 weeks, so we kind of know what they're doing. But with that coaching staff they have, they'll bring some new stuff. So we have to bring some new stuff also. So yeah, so I'd say lately we're working more on ourselves and finishing the touches around certain things that we want to work on. But as the week goes, we'll learn their special teams, their power play, their PK, their face-off play. So it's a little bit of both, but I'd say more focus on us, and I think if we do that, we'll be okay.
Wonderful. Marc, Alain, thanks for taking time to join us on our edition of our program. We appreciate it, and best of luck against the Powassan Voodoos in the next round of in the first round of the NOJHL playoffs.
Okay, thank you, Dennis.
I want to once again say a very special thank you to Darryl Moxam of the Greater Sudbury Cubs and Marc-Alain Bégin from the Hearst Lumberjacks for taking time from their extremely busy schedule to join me on the show, and great to hear from them. We apologize for the video issues we had with my camera, as we're happy to have Marc-Alain Bégin on video for that one. So there you have it. A special preview of the NOJHL postseason that gets underway a little bit later on this week into the weekend. Make sure you catch all the action on Flow Hockey and also get down to the rink to support these teams. This hockey is going to be incredible. Our goal is to have another update for you for the semifinals, the Final Four, and of course, for the championship series. We'll provide another update there. We hope you have enjoyed our very special beginning of our video podcast segment, courtesy of NCH software that we've purchased, and we're trying to get used to all of it, the way it works. Also, we want to say again that this will be available as an audio podcast, and you can catch us via our usual suspects on PuskaMediaServices.com, our front page of our website, as through our Podomatic app. You can also get us where you get podcasts, whether it's Amazon, Google, or on Apple, all sorts of ways through there. Lots of great shows coming up here for the Sports Hub Network. If you have missed something, make sure you go to our and hit more episodes on the media player on our website, and you can catch on our past episodes, including you can hear stuff done from Brian Heinz, the goaltender from formerly from Kapuskasing, played for the Knoxville Ice Bears, was recently inducted into their Hall of Fame. There's a great interviews with the Kapuskasing Flyers about their trip up to the James Bay Coast, and a special segment done on cycling with my friend Joe Domini. He'll be in Tour 21 as a group of cyclists raise money for leukemia by riding the same course as the Tour de France. That'll be happening this summer. Joe Domini took time to join me for that interview. Again, PuskaMediaServices.com for any of that. If you need to get a hold of me, you can text me at 705-332-0029 to find out more about video podcasts for your team or your league. And you can also email me at PuskaMediaServices.com. Friends, it's going to do it for our very special edition of our podcast today. For all of us, for Darryl Moxam and for Marc-Alain Bégin and for Thomas Mercier, I'm Dennis J. Puska. Be good, stay out of trouble. I'll try to do the same. And until next time on the Sports Hub Network, good night, Dick, and God bless. Bye for now. Shillinglaw, no one there to pass it to but the man in the moon. And the puck is cleared out to center. Now De Bruyne, he's got Dawson with him. Caleb De Bruyne with a shot. Boy, they turned that one away. Caden De Bruyne, boy, a nice shot. Now Hearst back to the attack. Matthew Como and Aiden Kalin. Como will wait. Allowed to come over. Wait, shoot, score! Game over! Jacks win! Comeback effort! Bada bing, bada boom!
You have been listening to the Sports Hub Network, a reoccurring podcast featuring unique topics in the world of sports. For more, visit PuskaMediaServices.com. This has been a 2025 Studio 29 DP production.